So I am all about making smart decisions that put you ahead in life, That's all it is. And I got a message that self-destructed and no longer available, but I did take a screenshot. I'm not going to tell it who it is from, but I want to address it because he pointed out something very important that we have not addressed on this channel that often. Beyond that, I'm going to tell you one strategy, my strategy that I never told you before, okay? It's like a parallel exit strategy from silver and gold and that kind of stuff. And it's related to what he said. So I'm not going to say who the message is from, but I'm going to paraphrase it. And he says, Arpad, I just got your encryption book. Thank you very much. I just got your encryption book yesterday, enjoyed it deeply. As a GS trained pro trader, I got out of XBT position Sunday last week. So XBT is platinum, okay? So he got in platinum and he got out last week. Pretty good timing, I would say. He bought in April 7th. The trade lasted 291 days and it literally was the perfect swing trade with close to 200% return, right? And then he follows up. This was a comment on my last video about like how you should hold silver, or how I'm planning to hold silver. And he says, if you buy and hold a lot, there has to be a great reason. First lesson of GS is all losers are forever, and buy and hold is the worst strategy from trading perspective. Right? So very good points. I really appreciate his comment and the fact that he bought my book, of course, but the comment is gold. Here it is why it is gold, because the strategy that I have been explaining on this channel is buy and hold until something big and something really big blows up, because if that happens, nothing else will hold but physical stuff. And out of all the physical stuff you can have, in the most condensed way, you can hold gold and silver. That will greatly appreciate, hold its value, and you will be able to use it in the next currency system. That is one thing that I've been telling you about for many, many years. That is how many people got rich during the hyperinflation in Romania. But, very strong but, that doesn't mean that you cannot make money on the market if you're a trader, if you know what you're doing. Generally speaking, I would never give that advice to the general audience because I'm not an investment advisor, but it totally makes sense. I totally held paper silver and probably will hold paper silver. The reason for that, because I can get in and out super fast. Now the gains that I would make from it, I would convert some of that into physical silver in Switzerland, right? That's it. So you can play the silver game. Now I have lost money, I've gained money. I'm practically not really into paper silver, but that doesn't mean that if you're a good trader, you can't make advantage. Actually, you should make advantage. And he's perfectly correct. If you keep on holding for a long time, you're just like going up and up, up and down, up and down. Eventually, the only thing you made was over the 5 years how much that individual asset raised in price, and then you're stuck with that. However, if you can sell off the peaks, now I'm saying in paper, sell off the peak, then it comes down, sell off the peak, comes down, sell off the peak, not sell like 100% of it, but just cut back 20% to the top, and then put that money back into play at the lower, then you can cut these jagged edges of the market and place them on top, and you make way more gain, like probably 5x or 10x more gain than if you would have held. But that's a different strategy for something else. And you got to have the balls, let's just say, the balls to do it. Because if you're not a trained trader, it's not for you. So that is why I would not generally speak about that, because the audience here is most likely regular folk who want to make sure that they survive through hyperinflation, that they want to have something afterwards, right? But that does not mean that these jagged edges of a very volatile market cannot be taken advantage of. Now, my strategy, I'm not a professional trader. I look at the market, I play in my head what I would do, but generally speaking, it is a dollar cost average. And when something big happens, I could sell off, and buy more later on. I have not done that. I would have told you if I would have done that, but generally speaking, that is a good strategy. But what do you do with the profits? And do you have a nest egg, kind of a safety percentage of what you put away in the forever stash? Okay, the forever stash is not there to make you rich. The forever stash is there to make sure that you build generational wealth for what's to come, so your children and your grandchildren can be more productive in the marketplace, in society, 25 years from now, 50 years from now, because they're not paying mortgages for bankers who are printing money out of thin air. That is the reason, right? I've told you that why I don't care too much about the price movement is because I know it's practically not even for me, right? I'm trying to make value different way in the marketplace by giving my talents, my skill, whatever I can do professionally. Okay? Now, what is an exit strategy for the forever stash? Because the forever stash may grow, but that doesn't mean you cannot utilize that in a way where you can grow your business. We always tell about become your own banker, become your own banker. Everybody tells you like, oh, become your own banker, but they never tell you what to do. At minimum, they're going to tell you just buy gold, become your own banker. Well, just buying gold won't make you your own banker. You're just going to have gold, and eventually gold will go up and you're going to do something, right? Becoming your own banker is having enough assets that you can lend against at a lower rate than you would regularly get, right? Now, that doesn't mean you should do it unless you know exactly what you're doing it for. Let's just say you have, I'm going to say, I don't know, $10,000 or $5,000 in gold. Okay, let's just say $5,000 in gold. You have $5,000 in gold in a vault in Switzerland, right? Perfect. But you're paying for that. You're paying for vaulting it, you're paying for holding it, securing it, so on and so forth. Now it does increase in value. Sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes up. But eventually, that gold will stabilize maybe at $10,000. Now you invested $5,000, you have $10,000 worth of gold. Can you use that to become your own bank? And the answer is, of course, yes. The way you do it, which is risk, you take a loan against half of it. So you take a loan against half of that amount of gold, and you do something very smart with that money, like put it in your business or something totally unrelated to gold. Maybe you open a business, maybe you need a new truck to grow your business or something like that, right? So you take a loan against it. Here's what's going to happen. If inflation continues, right, and you keep paying that loan back, no problem. And you never sold the gold, so if gold keeps on rising, that gold can now still have the ability to grow to 12,000, 14,000, 15,000, so on. In the meantime, you give up back the money that you took out for your truck, right? And you never lost out on the market. So this is called something like double dipping. You can do this with real estate. You can do this with stocks if you know what you're doing. But there's a risk. The risk involved here is that $10,000 worth of gold can go also down. and now you're losing, right? Now you're losing on the gold, and you're paying back the amount from the truck that you bought, but you're losing. The issue, it becomes an issue if gold loses half of its value, right? From 10,000 and goes back to 5,000. You lost everything that you took out, and now the remaining 5,000 will be immediately liquidated to pay off your debt. So it is a sure way to lose your gold if you don't know what you're doing. However, it basically doubles everything. So if it goes up and you're doing well, it doubles your gain. You're using assets to become more productive in the marketplace. But if everything is going down, it goes down faster, right? So it's a sure way to double your money, and it's a sure way to lose your money. It's a risk. It's not for everyone. If you're taking out that loan to, go on a trip or buy yourself new clothes or something like that, it's a total stupid idea, because that money, now you're double losing it, right? Instead of that, you have to put into something that you know is going to yield back enough money to pay itself back. If that alone, segregated investment that you took out the loan for, is not paying itself back, it's a stupid idea, right? So the easiest way, and the easiest way that I know how to do this, again, it's not for everyone, it's not investment advice, but I'm telling you what I know and what my circle knows, right? We have a school group, Star Path Academy community. It costs some money to join. We want to make sure we filter out the people who are not interested. We want to make sure we filter out the people who are only interested in gold and prepping. This is a group for mostly fathers, precious metal people. We're talking about like minting our own currency at some point. Currency, I mean just gold coins and silver coins. Not really currency, but like we're talking about interesting stuff. We're talking about raising chickens. We're talking about fatherhood, serving God, and so on and so forth. So it's not for everyone. And if you're only interested in investments, then it's probably not for you. If you're only interested in, prepping, it's not for you. However, it is a generally good, balanced, high IQ group where we talk every single Saturday. And I would only advise you to join that if you have followed the channel for at least a year or two. If not, don't bother. Okay, now, what we know there, it's a mastermind group where we talk about interesting stuff. There's a bank in Singapore where you can store precious metals, and the precious metals you store there can be used to take peer-to-peer loans against. This, I'm not going to guarantee it. I never visited this bank. I'm not an affiliate in this bank, and it's probably not for you, right? But I'm saying a concrete example where you can have physical metals stored in a vault in Singapore, right? And then take a loan against that. And the loan is peer-to-peer. Now, peer-to-peer means that if you put in, let's just say $10,000, and you want to loan that to me, I can take up that loan, give you something like 4 to 5% on that yearly, but the bank holds my gold as a collateral. So if I never pay it back to you, then my gold becomes your gold. So this way, we can achieve a community of people who are precious metal people, and we're doing business with each other, but it's all secured through gold and silver, our holdings. The thing is, I would never do that if that is more than 50% of the gold I have there, right? So if I have 5,000. If I would have $5,000 worth of gold there, I would never take out more than $2,000 against it, because if it drops $2,000, my gold immediately gets liquidated, right, to pay you off. So you never lose, but whoever takes the risk on can lose, right? So the good thing here is that, and I gotta tell you about this, because people sell off their stuff because things go up and buy stuff and sell stuff and buy stuff. Every sale and every purchase, every sale is taxable. You don't get taxed on loans. The reason why, Elon Musk is where he is because he takes loans against the shares he owns in Tesla. So you don't pay taxes on it, because of course you don't pay taxes, because you have to pay it back. But you get access to money. You get access to money to do something with it, and you put it back, right? So there are ways, right, how you can manage risk, manage precious metals, and still be part of the market, yet still do businesses or real estate or something on the side. And it's very important to point this out, because not a lot of people know about this, and it's probably for a good reason, because everything has a risk. So in my mind, if I draw a line and I take a look at the volatility of silver, right, I need to know in my mind how much in percentage silver could lose, because I would never take a loan on the percentage that would not be covered by that loss. So here's a concrete example. So in my mind, it's very hard for gold to lose 50% of its value. Not impossible, but it's very hard, right? So that's why I was using that example. But it can happen. It absolutely can happen. But let's just say it's even harder for gold to lose 70% of its value. Now, if I have that in my mind, and which is may be true, maybe not true, but let's just say it's true in my mind. So if I would have $10,000 worth of gold that is currently priced at $10,000, I would say it's very hard for that in my mind to lose 70% of its value, so it becomes $3,000, right? So that last $3,000 is probably gonna be there. It's gonna be safe, right? So that means I can, in my mind, take a loan against $10,000 worth of gold, but I would only take $3,000 worth of loan, right? Because whatever happens to the market, and as long as I keep paying that money back, right, even if gold goes down, until I have still at least $3,000 worth of gold, I'm not going to be forced liquidated to pay off that $3,000. So now, can you get burned? Absolutely. Did I get burned? Absolutely. I got burned. I got burned hard with silver. I learned my lesson. It was 2011. So it's not for everyone, but you gotta know what you gotta know, right? And things like these are not gonna be exposed to you, because it's not for the general public. And I'm not saying this as investment advice, but I'm saying you how the people who take risks and know the value of gold and silver can still utilize that knowledge and utilize the wealth that they have stored up in ways. And this sudden drop in silver and gold is the perfect timing to talk about this, because we're going in from I would say scared perspective. Because if I would be telling you this, that everything's going to go up and you can take up all the loans against your gold or something like that, it would be disingenuous, because I never did that. When I did something like that, I got burned, right? And this is the perfect time, because now you already have a cautious eye. So whatever I'm telling, you're just going to absorb. You're not going to follow through anything. But these are mechanisms that can be used as long as you know your risk to return ratios, right? And of course, I mean, what we always say on this channel and everywhere else is that if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So I've told in my golden shield strategy that I put out for members at some point, I did speak about there's very different types of gold and silver one should hold if they are affluent and if they have the money, right? It's not for everyone, but I do believe in paper gold for exactly what it's perfect for going in and out of the market very fast if you know what you want, and then using the proceeds of that to go and actually buy gold. But paper gold is really good to get that. The second gold is physical gold vaulted somewhere. If you're an international man like me, this is probably going to be your best friend. Now, where do you hold it? How do you hold it? It's not going to be the same. So I've spoken about this, but two countries that I would trust are just Switzerland and Singapore. That's it. I mean, you can be living in Brazil and you can be cussing me out. Brazil is super good, or Argentina. I don't know. This is what I believe, and I'm not even giving this as advice to you, but I know, historically speaking, these are the only two countries that I would trust right now, especially. Now, of course, if a big SHTF happens and a currency reset happens, you know, these are only as good as the companies that store it. Because technically, as soon as you give it up, it's no longer yours, right? So we know that. But risk reward, right? You can use strategies like this against your physical gold, what I've been telling you. And that may be a lifeline. That may be a way for you to become your own bank, right? And if you need none of that, and if you're planning to stick around in the country that you always lived and you don't want to travel, and you know you don't hold multiple passports or something like that, it's probably not for you. And then of course it's physical gold and silver, which is held by you, where you know you go into a national forest, you become a pirate and drop a bag or drop a chest into, you know, an undisclosed location, and you have a couple of ounces here and there just in case you need to get it if something blows up. And that's your safest. That is the only way to hold gold eventually in a total collapse. Because let's just face it, it's going to be there more than likely, if you're smart about it, forever. Right? Now, with that said, what happens if, what happens with the information that is there, and who are you leaving it for, and how well of a map you have, and so on and so forth, right? And of course, that is where Cipher comes in. It is a physical book to do encryption, ciphering, easy ciphering, off-grid, without the use of computers. If you cipher something using this book, it will be unbreakable by any computers. And more than likely, no one will ever know about it, because you can just do it on a piece of paper and put it in your will or something like that. As long as whoever needs to read it already know about Dice Cipher, they already know how to use it, and you probably sent each other's letters before, just out of fun ciphering, right? So that is why I made it simple, so you can teach your kids how to use Dice Cipher. It doesn't take more than 6 dice. It doesn't take more a piece of pen and paper and the book, and you can use it. And it's tedious. It will take you some time to build a matrix like this on a piece of paper. Well, this is a bit of heavier matrix, but that is what it is for. Once they have it, you know, an 8-year-old kid can use it and can easily decipher a long text. Right? But how do you keep the password for that text? How do you share the password with your loved one to that text? That's up to you, and should be up to you. So, look, when a lot of smart people come together, they can solve problems, and especially if they are excited about it, they can solve a lot of problems, they can come up with it. But if you're alone, and if you're just gathering information on your own, it's going to be a bit slower. I'm not going to say it's going to be hard, but it's going to be slower. And that is why we have a community. And that is why I like to read your comments. I always try to read the comments under YouTube, especially if I like them or something like that. So you can see it. I read it. I don't always have time to answer the questions, but I try to read them all. And, you know, with the community, we do talk once or twice every week, every Saturday, Central Time, 9 a.m. So we can talk about these things. Right. And with that said, everything said here was just opinion, not advice, nor investment advice. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something and you go do your own research. Look, I never sold anyone stocks or mining stocks or special gold coins that have value. For me, a gram of gold is a gram of gold. Everything is just melt value. I don't care about deceiving you with any nonsense that people try to make, or I never try to sell you any stocks because I have no idea how they will perform. I just tell you what I do sometimes, and I tell you my losses, and you know, that's it. The only thing I sell is really the book and some other stuff that I made or I actually personally use. So like the gun safe or the gun lockbox that I use or that kind of stuff. I just tell you because I use them, I trust them, and I would, you know, tell it to my friend. If you want to support the channel, you can always do that just by buying me a coffee. Under the buy me a coffee link under the video is no reason to buy a book if you're not going to read it. You could just, you know, if you want to give me $5 or something to make sure the channel goes forward, then you can do that. I never want to sell something for you just to make an extra buck because it's totally worthless. So that is my opinion about things. You know, take it with a grain of salt. I can't figure out everything. I'm learning from you guys just as much as hopefully you're learning from me. And if you're interested, please follow the channel, and let's see where this market goes. All right, peace out.